What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Square Circle Podcast. We are continuing to talk about the New Japan Cup. This one is from March 15th, 2025. And as you already know, episodes 1, 2, and 3 of the New Japan Cup are already out on Spotify, YouTube, and Substack. If you have not decided to follow any of those platforms, please do so. I don't want you to miss a notification or even a tweet about a new episode dropping, to where you can also voice your opinions and voice your comments down in any of the comment sections below. And I hope that you end up deciding to join the family that is the Square Circle Podcast, created and hosted by yours truly, Maria Shadows, because we are all one big happy family here. We talk about professional wrestling, we find ways to improve it, and we are definitely our authentic selves. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in to follow along, by all means. Each description, each link that I am going to be talking about will be down in the description boxes below and also in the comment section. So if you want to get newsletters delivered to your inbox with extra information, extra pictures, and anything that is extra cool, please head over to marieshadows.substack.com. You can sign up for free. My newsletter is free. The only thing that is behind a paywall is whenever I have to do a tape study video, which is a reaction video to a match that you can suggest if you are a paying customer, and I break it down for you. We talk about character work, we talk about move sets, we talk about everything, promo work, and just the overall story of the ring, of what's happening inside the ring. So it's similar to what Stevie Richards does on his channel as well, if you guys want to have a better idea. And sooner or later, I will be starting up the tape study series Tuesdays and Thursdays. And a announcement about that will be coming out into a newsletter format, which will be very private for everyone that is on my readers list. So if you want to get information like that too and want to be in the know, you can head over to marieshadows.substack.com. If you're on the YouTube side of things, thank you for listening to the Square Circle Podcast on YouTube from around the world. And thank you for tuning in to any of the premieres that I have for these podcast episodes. And thank you for tuning in to any live streams that happen whenever they can, whenever I can get some live streaming done. Head over to youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast. If you are on the Spotify side of things and you like listening to podcasts and watching video on Spotify, that's right, Spotify has now given us, the creators of our podcast, the opportunity to have video format as well. So, and if you're into commenting as well, you could do that too. They gave us the tools for viewers and fans alike to leave comments. Just search Squared Circle Podcast on Spotify and all episodes are there. Make sure to hit that follow button. And if you want to leave a review on Spotify, please do so. That helps out the show. It brings it up into the algorithm of Spotify. And also hitting the like button and subscribe button and leaving a comment over on youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast. That also pushes the video out into the YouTube algorithm so we could get more wrestling fans and more like-minded individuals into the comments and we can have a wonderful conversation. I answer everybody's comments. I talk to everybody, whether that is in the live chat or in the regular chat, meaning the comment section. I talk to everybody, so don't be afraid to leave a comment. All I ask is for you to be respectful of when you leave the comment. That's all I ask, because sometimes if you put out some really stupid energy, you might get stupid energy back. So just keep that in mind. Aside from that, my fourth wall website will be down in the description box and also in the comment section below. Make sure to click that link and check out the brand new and improved website. You get to know who I am, what I did in WWE, what seminars I attended in my indie career of going around being a helper, being ring crew, being any kind of person of help. Any kind of position that was offered to me, I was out there doing that, including commentary on the indies. You get to listen to my commentary work. You get to listen to my interviews from MLW for me being media press with MLW. And you get to know all of that. You get to know what free content you get when you are interacting with my comment on social media and on social media platforms and the internet in general. You get to know about tape study series, or what I like to call tape study chatter, and the tape study roadmap. The tape study roadmap is specifically for professional wrestlers at any stage in their career if they want to get feedback on their matches and promos and get a second pair of eyes that will think outside the box and give wonderful suggestions and ideas on how to improve and what would be the next steps going forward, and talking about social media, one-on-one consultations, you name it. I am here to be your cheerleader and to be your helper. So if you guys do not mind, you guys can head over to my Fourth Wall website. Again, link down in the description and or comment section to where you can find out more details about how you can either do a one-off drop-off like I say, which is a test run, or if you want to do a monthly commitment of $16 a month, and I will be your cheerleader for whenever you need me to take a look at your matches and make sure that you are on the road to success for your own individual career. Of course, every single feedback would be different depending on what you want me to look at, but I am here to be your cheerleader in your corner because I believe in professional wrestling. It is one of my huge passions, and I want to give back to the business that has given me everything and given me a lot of joy. So if that's something that you want to explore, it's marieshadows-shop.fourthwall.com, and that's a mouthful to say, but that's basically the website. It's a Fourth Wall website with my name on it, and you get to know who I am, what I do, and I hope you guys check it out. So again, all links down in the description box and or comment section. And just in case, if you don't want to do any of that, you can reach me by email, squaredcirclepodcast@outlook.com. Or if you are very active on Twitter or not really active on Twitter, you can reach out to me on Twitter via DMs at Marie_Shadows on Twitter. And if you like to do things on the Instagram side of things, the IG channel is Marie Shadows on the mic. If any of the other options, like what I mentioned, makes you feel a little bit more comfortable to talk to me if you have any questions about the tape study roadmap, if you're a wrestler, or if you're a fan reaching out to send me some feedback, some comments, you can use that too. But if you're a wrestler, if you want to reach out to me those ways, you can. Now, with all of that being said, with all the house notes being put in the beginning of this, let's jump right into the New Japan Cup of March 15, 2025. Our first match is Drilla Maloney versus Shingo Takagi. Now, do you guys remember in the last episode when I was not only talking about the United Empire, but also talking about how Boltin Oleg versus Shingo was very boring, and it was the same thing when they started up with a lockup, and that it should be something different, in the beginning rather than a lockup. And with this match of Drilla Maloney versus Shingo, that's exactly what they did. They started with some hard-hitting shots. I believe it was some exchange of clotheslines and trying to take the other guys down. They did not start off with a collar and elbow tie-up into some amateur wrestling. These guys already know each other. These guys already fought each other. And Drilla has a victory over Shingo from before the New Japan Cup. So, like I said, it all depends on what kind of match that two wrestlers want to have. If they want to have a hard-hitting start, I guess that's okay. You just have to play it very, very smartly, because if you do come out the gate being very hard-hitting and very heavy-hitting, what are you going to do for the rest of the matches? How are you going to recover your stamina? How are you going to recover when your arms really want to give out and your body wants to give out because you exhausted so much energy very fast and very hard, no pun intended. And now, keep your mind out of the gutter, please. Thank you. It's about taking the fans on this emotional roller coaster ride. Now, not every match needs to be that way. There could be like squash matches, and there could be really long invested matches. But for something like Drilla Maloney versus Shingo, for some reason, I still believe that Shingo is just going through the motions at this point and just having these matches, and it just doesn't feel like the old Shingo. Like, I love watching Shingo matches. He has a very unique way of creating his matches, and I enjoy Drilla Maloney from 0 to 100, man. Like, he's one of my favorites, and he has a cool way of telling stories inside the ring, whether he is wrestling as a singles competitor and or a tag team partner. He gets it. He understands it. Both of these guys understand it. It's just that we get a lot of hard-hitting attacks, such as the spine buster comes out like really early, which I was surprised because the spine buster usually should be like 3/4 into the match, given the time. We get that Shingo combination, Drilla kicks out. We get Shingo knowing that a kick was going to come and then dodges that, sidesteps that from Drilla. So automatically we were getting a match where these two already knew each other. We had the sliding lariat that got missed. The spear got caught. Drilla came out with a perfect suplex. That quick rolling spear again to Shingo. Then Shingo kicks out. We get the DVD to the floor. The DVD stands for Death Valley Driver. We get a Made in Japan by Drilla to Shingo, and Shingo kicks out because Shingo is not going to submit to his finisher at all. We got the Drilla Killer. That got countered, however, with a sliding lariat. Then as we get closer to the end of the match, we get the Made in Japan, a pumping bomber. Drilla kicks out. However, the Death Valley Driver that Shingo does to Drilla is the one that gives Shingo the win in this match. So, Death Valley Driver, Shingo goes over, 1, 2, 3. Shingo wins and advances in the tournament. Now, do I have a problem with Shingo advancing in the tournament on March 15th, 2025? No, not really. But how cool would it have been to have two War Dog members maybe fight each other in this match, in this tournament, I should say. Sometimes a good story is when you have something unpredictable. Something unpredictable is having two members of the same team fight each other, depending on the situation, depending on how things are set up. But in general, sometimes you don't want to see two team members fighting each other. I like it in wrestling because it could tell a deeper, richer story, and it can create some type of tension and divide within a group. But they have to learn how to overcome that, and they have to learn how to once again be a team and make sure that everybody's on the same page. And if you're not on the same page because you want to go improve yourself, then you should be able to tell the leader and be like, hey, I don't think I'm a good fit anymore. That match opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I want to go and explore things on my own, and maybe one day I could come back. Now, that sounds like a super babyface kind of thing to even think about or even talk about, but that's just a general idea for what I have whenever I really want to see two team members fight each other, because it creates stronger bonds. It creates lessons for people to watch and understand, and we're missing some type of lessons in these stories that these characters in professional wrestling tell in a kayfabe setting. That's why I fall in love with wrestling so much. It's because of that. It's because of the lessons that I learned growing up, of getting over obstacles, and sometimes talking it out with people can help you find a common ground, and just learning different things to get over stuff and to understand the world a little bit more. And it's all through storytelling. So it would have been cool if we would have had Drilla Maloney versus David Finlay, at least, to some degree, to some capacity. Even though they're both war dogs, one's a leader, the other one is a war dog, it's still one of those things of like, you have to make sure that the people that you choose to stand beside you, that they are still worthy to stand beside you. It's one of those kind of things of like, all right, let's see what you're made of. I can see everything that you do. Drilla Maloney brings David Finlay bodies and gold, and everyone else does that in Bullet Club War Dogs, but how sharp is your mind? How sharp is your ability to last with me in the ring in a one-on-one match? That has to be tested from time to time too. So that's just a little bit of my mindset for when it comes to interesting kinds of stories that professional wrestling should tell more when it comes to factions. So like I said, for the first match, Shingo is the winner and he advances in the New Japan Cup. Our second match is Shota Umino versus Jeff Cobb. This is where things just get like, I guess we call this 50-50 booking. If not, let me know down in the comments below. But this is one of those things of like, okay, no spoiler alert because we're already past the time for spoilers, but Shota does go over against Jeff Cobb. The thing that I could appreciate about Shota is that he does take different approaches to his matches. It just depends on who he's fighting and what is happening, because in this match with Jeff Cobb is obviously the bigger guy. He's a tank. He has a lot more muscle. He has a lot more strength than Shota Umino. Not saying that Shota Umino is small by any means, but Shota just doesn't have the massive amount of muscle that Jeff Cobb has, but Shota can always hold his own. So opening the match with some forearms to try and get Jeff Cobb to be like, oh my God, they hurt. They obviously don't. And it's that warrior spirit that the New Japan guys value, that they can try to be as tough as anybody else and try to be toe to toe with anybody else. But have you seen Jeff Cobb? Jeff Cobb is not like anybody else. New Japan Pro Wrestling doesn't have a lot of the big guys, and they should have more big guys. So after trying to go toe to toe with Jeff Cobb, Shota only knows how to get Jeff Cobb off of his feet by doing a drop kick. Shota really has a really nice drop kick. We get the suplex throw, a darting spear. Jeff Cobb has been doing this darting spear that no one else does, and I think that it's fantastic. And he's doing all this to Shota while he's in the corner. A pump handle throw to Shota by Cobb. Shota kicks out of that. We get a neck breaker on Cobb by Shota. Then we get a spin cycle to Shota and a swingy DDT to Cobb by Shota. There was quite a few counters in this match between both men. However, as we get down to the last part of this match, we get a huge spin cycle throw, and Shota kicks out of that. Until Shota masters the strength to pick up Jeff Cobb for the second chapter. The second chapter is the name of Shota's new finisher, because again, Shota has a whole new look where he shaved his head, wearing white clothes only, like his whole gear is white. He still comes out to his Death Rider remix, sort of poppy Tanahashi entrance music, but he does not interact with any other fans. He does not. He has his hoodie up. He has the hood up. It shields his face and his eyes, and he walks straight down the aisle. So we have a brand new Shota. And because he has this new finisher, which is just a delayed fisherman suplex that goes into a pin, he does this to Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb is a tank. He is a boulder. I don't know how you muster up the strength to do it. But then again, I know Shota is strong. I'm just saying in general when you look at it. So he does the second chapter, 1, 2, 3, and Shota wins and advances in the New Japan Cup. Now, I would like to say something on Shota Umino because I have been his cheerleader for a while. Shota Umino has it when it comes to his wrestling skills. He has a really nice set of moves for his wrestling ability. He knows what to do, and he knows which matches need something different and how to open the matches and stuff. He gets it. He gets the wrestling part. He also gets the character part. However, it is going a little too slow for my liking, but I do not think that he is going to be turning heel. I think that he's going to go through a crisis, and he's going through a crisis. If anyone shaves their head, that means that they have a lot of emotional baggage that they have to get rid of, and sometimes your hair can be the weight that gets you a little bit stressed out. It's real. I've experienced it where sometimes I have to cut my hair shorter just to feel alive and feel like there's no more burdens, even though there's always going to be burdens and it's always going to be problems the next day. But you feel lighter. You feel great. You feel confident when you get a haircut. So with Shota Umino doing that, he has a whole new second chapter on his career, on his life, on his kayfabe stuff. But I'm going to keep reiterating this, and I'm going to keep saying this until somebody in New Japan Pro Wrestling or some fan listens to it and even puts it on social media for me, that Shota Umino needs to be in AEW to take out Jon Moxley, so that way this new character that he's going through can fully blossom, because Jon Moxley right now is the quote unquote mentor, because a lot of fans online love to fantasy book and love to be like, oh my God, that's his mentor, which, like I said, Jon Moxley took him under his wing, back in the G1 before AEW was formed, and I don't even know what he taught him. What did he teach him? Absolutely nothing. How to just wrestle more and be chaotic, and I don't know. But to me, Jon Moxley is not a mentor. Either way, that's neither here nor there. So takes him on his ring, a mentor, and Shota Umino is suffering. Jon Moxley don't see it. Jon Moxley don't care. Like I said, after Shota Umino defeated Claudio Castagnoli at Wrestle Dynasty, why did he not go to AEW? Why are fans not asking for this to continue the story? Because fans don't really care about New Japan wrestlers or even AEW wrestlers or even story for that part. They're like, oh my God, give me the shiny new thing. Oh my God, you guys are just doing matches. Give me that too. And give me more violence and give me more blood. Oh my God. They don't really care about what professional wrestling means and what it embodies. I really do think to help Shota Umino out, he needs to go to AEW and defeat Jon Moxley. So that way he can rid himself of the Death Riders, rid himself of Moxley. Right now, the Death Riders is not the team to be with. No one knows what's going on. Jon Moxley doesn't know what's going on. He thinks that he's philosophical. He's not philosophical. And he just says a bunch of nonsense that thinks that it goes over, but nobody in that company is like, bro, I have no idea what you're talking about. And it's okay to tell somebody, I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you please clarify? I need to understand where you're at. I really do. There's nothing wrong with telling somebody that, because if you understand it, then other people will understand it and we can have a conversation about it. But when nobody understands it because nobody wants to talk to Moxie for some odd reason, then that's a problem. But I do believe that Shota Umino should have not been in the New Japan Cup. He should have been over at AEW fighting his mentor to get rid of him. And then when he comes back to New Japan Pro Wrestling, he will be a better man and he'll be on the journey to find himself. And I also think that Shota Umino needs to have a match with Tanahashi to get rid of any kind of Tanahashi influence for Shota to fully become whoever Shota Umino is supposed to be. And if he needs to change up his name, he could change up his name too, but I wouldn't know what to call him if he did change up his name. We can't be like Red Shoes Jr. We can't do that. But yeah, so sometimes when it comes to his booking, it's really, really weird. He is giving us crumbles to his character and stuff like that. And I'm really watching the Japanese commentary more than the English commentary. But regardless of that, Shota Umino just needs to rid himself of Moxie and Tanahashi, and then he can finally become whoever he wants to become. And the greatest thing about this is that because he's wearing white, not only does it signify a new chapter, everything new, all that kind of stuff, but it's a blank canvas. And it's his canvas to put whatever he wants on his canvas in his journey of becoming who is Shota Umino. And for some reason, booking wise, story wise, I don't even know they have talks about this, but these are the kind of ideas that I can come up with just by looking at everything, understanding everything, and having a background in creative writing and a publishing certificate and being around books and all that kind of stuff. It just generates these ideas and different ways to look at the poetic side of professional wrestling and how that can help with fan engagement, social media engagement. I know this is not really part of everything or anything like that, but for Shota Umino, for him to be the very best and become one of the aces, not the only ace. I think that in professional wrestling, we should have a bunch of aces that can be sort of very adaptable and movable in the world of professional wrestling. So that way, if something happens to one of them, somebody could move right in and it will just be a very smooth transition until that person comes back for whatever reason. But I don't think that we should rely on just one ace. Like, for example, Tsuji should also be in the conversation of being an ace and doing more, and really he should have advanced further in the New Japan Cup rather than losing the Evil. But I get it, it's story. But then again, Tsuji should have came out to help Bullet Club whenever they needed the help, because House of Torture wants to be House of Torture. Like, there's certain little things that should be happening, that should be discussed, that should be happening in production meetings, but I guess not. So yeah, Shota Umino wins and advances in the New Japan Cup. Our next match is Yuya Uemura versus David Finlay. This was a good match between both of these guys. David Finlay can make anybody look like $1,000,000. Yuya Uemura has it and is very interesting in his style and technique of wrestling, and his nickname being Heat Storm. At first, I was just like, I don't know about being called Heat Storm, but okay, we'll work on it. We'll keep it around and see how it is. Yuya has those Ricky the Dragon Steamboat arm drags, and I really do like seeing them. They are very spectacular to look at. So we open up with a collar and elbow tie-up and some scrapping of Yuya's face from David Finlay. Of course, no one likes this. So we get some fast arm drags and David Finlay with some body shots on David Finlay, I should say. Yuya ends up working Finlay's arm for the whole entire match. Again, ladies and gentlemen, most wrestlers forget that working a body part can help you win a match, whether that is from pinfall or submission. Knowing that Yuya here has the best arm drags in the business that I really like watching. He also ends up having his finisher to be a double underhook belly to belly, but like an inverted way to do it. And so it's very great that he works on a body part. So the whole entire match, he's working David Finlay's arms. He gets some chops to Finlay, meaning Yuya. Yuya gets dropped on the ropes because Finlay is like, nah, I got to create some distance between us, and the Russian leg sweep to Yuya. I miss that move. Not many wrestlers do the Russian leg sweep anymore. We get Finlay throwing Yuya into the turnbuckle. We get an armbar. Finlay bridges, so that way the armbar will not be complete. And I thought that was genius. Finlay does very diabolical things. It's all in the details whenever he wrestles. And I was talking about this earlier with somebody else about David Finlay. And I'll say it here. I will confess, if I have not confessed yet, that I guess when David Finlay was in his tag team phase with Juice Robinson, both of those guys are super talented. Juice Robinson is super talented. David Finlay is super talented. But at the time of just being a big baby face, he didn't get enough time to shine for me to like him as much as I do now. Now that all the big players have moved on and got the bag and went elsewhere, David Finlay is now shining, and they put the spotlight on him. And a mutual on my timeline had mentioned that they don't understand why New Japan Pro Wrestling, what they see in David Finlay. And I can tell you that the Yuya Uemura match and the David Finlay versus Zack Sabre Jr. match, when we get to talking about the semifinals, those two matches are the reason for what they see in David Finlay. Finlay is very adaptable, and he can make anybody look like $1,000,000, and he can progress in-ring storytelling ability. So, for example, when we go back to him versus Yuya Uemura in the New Japan Cup match, just the fact that Finlay decided to do a bridge so that way Yuya will not complete the armbar on David Finlay until it had to be broken because they got to the rope, so that equals a rope break. But just that little detail, to know that that's another way to escape such a devastating move such as an armbar, because anything can happen. You could dislocate your elbow and you can tap out because the pain will be immense. But again, the detail is in everything. And I will take that little detail of David Finlay bridging just so that way Yuya Uemura does not collapse his hands to complete the armbar submission. That little detail, I will take that little detail in a match over 50 million flips done by Ospreay and everybody else in AEW. Flips matter to a certain degree, but to use it as a clutch because you don't know what else to do in a match or in a sequence, and you have to rely on choreographed spots, and in your head having to be like, all right, I have to stand in this spot. Okay, how many seconds? 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Okay, on the 5th second, he's going to do this moonsault. So I have to make sure to capture him as he does the moonsault. And so stuff like that is not very memorable, it's not very meaningful in a match that needs the storytelling ability. That is why New Japan Pro Wrestling highlights David Finlay and pushes David Finlay, because he's so adaptable, because he can be a very good wrestling buddy. That's not the word I'm looking for, but you get the idea. He is a veteran and he's a leader in the ring when he's in there with different types of wrestlers. And it's going to be the same thing when I talk about David Finlay versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the semifinal. But let me focus on his match with Yuya Uemura. So after the armbar gets broken up because of getting to the ropes, we get a big side slam from Finlay to Yuya, the Dominator to Yuya, where he just throws Yuya face first, body first. But Yuya kicks out. That's not enough to keep Yuya down. Yuya holds on to dear life of Finlay's leg. Again, more storytelling, ladies and gentlemen, because even though Yuya has muscle and he's pretty good, decent in the ring, and he has the ability to have this great ass stamina, sometimes you got to tell a little bit in the ring for the story of like, look, man, we're going to keep going. I'm not down yet. You haven't defeated me yet. We got a backbreaker. We get the buckle bomb. Finlay ends up playing dirty. I do not like it when wrestlers spit in each other's faces. I don't like when that happens in general. But that's what happens here. And this is for him to avoid the finisher that Yuya does, which is that double underhook, belly to belly suplex, like judo throw. Crowd is fully behind both of these guys. We get a power bomb to Yuya. Yuya kicks out. We get into oblivion. Yuya kicks out of that too. Then we get a knee to Yuya's chest. David Finlay goes for the pin. 1, 2, 3, and David Finlay advances to the semifinals. And again, when we get to the semifinals, because I had one more match to go over, it will be almost the same kind of talking points for David Finlay versus Zack Sabre Jr., which, again, I'll have more to talk about when we get there. But yeah, David Finlay wins and advances in the New Japan Cup. Our last match for the New Japan Cup, that is on March 15, 2025, is Taichi versus Zack Sabre Jr. Now, I understand, because if I don't mention this, maybe the haters will come back. I don't know. Because the haters always want to try to tell me everything about New Japan Pro Wrestling history, which does not apply. If it doesn't apply, don't say it, don't share it, because if it's not for the particular episode or for the particular conversation, it has nothing to do with it. But this match was definitely created in this tournament because it is an emotional match for the fans that love both Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. and like them as a tag team and like them individually as single competitors. And there is a fan base for both of these guys and the emotional aspect. And I totally get it. I totally get why we got here and how we got here. I still think that Bullet Club War Dogs should have dominated in the New Japan Cup because they are the hottest thing right now. Taichi is not as hot as he once was, even though he's with Just 4 Guys. Just 4 Guys should be feuding with Sonata and a little bit of Bullet Club War Dogs just because of Sonata betraying Just 5 Guys to make it Just 4 Guys, and that hurt Taichi. And the fact that Dangerous Techers were already disbanded and Suzuki-gun was already disbanded, and both Taichi went on his merry way and Zack Sabre Jr. went on his merry way. And for them to be fighting in this match for the New Japan Cup is very emotional. And I'm going to be very, very honest. I thought that this match was going to be a little bit more than what we got. And I feel like there wasn't enough emotion behind it. And I just felt like, why are we here? It started off interesting, it started off very heart-wrenching because the crowd is definitely behind Taichi and the crowd is definitely behind Zack Sabre Jr. They understand the emotional weight of this. They understand. They love these guys. And I'm not taking any of that away from them. I do think that it was a little too long in the fact of that Taichi was trying to gather his emotions. Yes, he was crying a little bit because he's facing his former tag team partner, his former teammate, and his best friend. And so I totally understand the emotion and where it's coming from, but I still think it was a little cringe and a little too prolonged to get into the match. At one point during the match, Taichi ends up having Zack Sabre Jr. on the outside, and they're fighting on the outside for a little bit until Taichi decides to go and get a chair. Now, the fans are very conflicted about this. Even commentators are conflicted about this because technically, if you guys are best friends, you really wouldn't use a chair. You'll keep it inside the ring and keep it the most pure-hearted match that has ever been between two best friends, because there has been no indication of Zack Sabre Jr. being horrible to Taichi and Taichi being horrible to Zack Sabre Jr. after the fact. After everything has been disbanded, they still have become friends. So you sort of wonder, why are you using a chair? So the referee convinced him not to use the chair, and Taichi gave in and gave the chair to the referee and took the match inside the ring. But I think that was a very lost opportunity to try something different, to try something new with Taichi, and not because to make him the villain or make him the bad guy, you know, or him to be hated by the fans. It's the fact that this is a New Japan Cup match. It's every man for themselves, and you got to do what you got to do. If you need to use the chair for some extra offense so that way you could probably win the match, go do it. Because no one plays fair in professional wrestling. No one plays fair in life in general, even if this is your best friend that you are fighting against. So I thought that was a missed opportunity to not use the chair and have a little bit more storytelling element. Because right now, Zack Sabre Jr. is floating in limbo. So is Taichi. Taichi is floating in limbo, even though he wants to take on Sonata and try to help out Just For Guys. Even though he's part of it, what I'm trying to say is that that's his new story that he's doing with Sonata, his new feud, because of Just For Guys becoming Just For Guys when it was recently Just Five Guys. The point is that it would have given something extra to the characters, to the lore, if Taichi would have used the chair on Zack Sabre Jr. during this main event match. And who knows? It could have been like, oh, it's nothing personal, Zack, but I want to win this cup. Because, again, a lot of the wrestlers that are in here never really won the cup, aside from Zack Sabre Jr. and some other former people who have won the New Japan Cup. But Taichi has been a tag team wrestler and won tag team gold and probably won some other titles. But, again, sometimes being there for so long, you don't win a New Japan Cup. But everybody else, the foreigners that they get behind, which is not a bad thing, but just to put it into perspective, everyone else but you that haven't been there as long as you end up getting the New Japan Cup. So this is why I was like, the chair shot, or even using the chair or playing dirty in a match where it's like, I've never won the New Japan Cup and you are almost close to the semifinals. So why not take advantage of this? I would have had that mindset. I probably would have been like, yo, I think the match should go that way, just to add some more layers to the lore, the character, the kayfabe, and everything like that. The fans could get upset. Let them get upset. They're supposed to react to things that are shocking. They are supposed to react to story that is done right. And even though these two are best friends, it will be a little bit more chaotic, I guess all puns intended, if Taichi were to use the chair. But he didn't. So a lot of the match was just a typical same old thing that Zack Sabre Jr. would do, Taichi would do. It was a back and forth. It was, what submission hold can Zack Sabre Jr. put on Taichi now for Taichi to either submit or get to the rope breaks? And nothing new. It was the same thing. It was a little bit slower, a little bit longer of a match. Don't know why. Sometimes matches like this don't really have to be too long. They don't have to have like a 45-minute time limit, even though I don't think this was 45 minutes. But they don't really always have to have a 45-minute time limit They really don't. Something like this, where it's emotional, should be able to tell the story within at least 30 minutes. And that's like max. 20 to 25 minutes is a good range. 30 minutes the most if you need to. So we start getting this exchange of kicks during the match. We also get the Cobra twist, some locked hands on that. We get a huge leg lock. We get the dragon sleep into Zack Sabre Jr., but he gets a rope break. Of course he does. He looked like he was going to be out. We also get a couple of Zack drivers in this as well. The deciding that O'Connor pin bridge combination that Zack Sabre Jr. does, that won him the match. A pinfall won him the match in this, what it's supposed to be a emotional kind of a match between these two guys, and a pin. Not even a regular pin, but a roll-up, a fancy roll-up or the bridge. And so that is how Zack Sabre Jr. advances to the semifinals to take on David Finlay. And that will be discussed in the next podcast episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know the winners again for the New Japan Cup for March 15th, 2025. Shingo advances, Shota advances, David Finlay advances, and Zack Sabre Jr. advances. So that sets up our semifinals to be David Finlay versus Zack Sabre Jr., and Shingo versus Shota, and then we get to the finals. Just know in the upcoming podcast episode, I will be talking about all three matches, the two semifinals and the finals, rather than letting them be their own podcast episode. The last episode for the New Japan Cup tournament will feature the two semifinal matches and the finals match as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this episode, please let me know. Leave a comment whether you're listening to this on youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast, marieshadows.substack.com, which is a free wrestling newsletter called the Square Circle Podcast Hub, and or on Spotify. Spotify has now given you guys, the viewers and the fans, multiple tools to keep in contact with your favorite podcaster. And you can leave a comment if you're on Spotify. And you can listen to this on all major podcasting platforms. Search Squared Circle Podcast by Marie Shadows if you need to include that on Spotify to find the show. When you find the show on Spotify, you can hit that follow button to never miss a notification if you are a diehard Spotify listener. And you could also leave a review and a star rating if you wish to. Again, comments all around. I do respond to everybody and anyone. All I ask is for you to be respectful in the comments. And also just a reminder, down in the description box below and or comment section, please make sure to check out all of the links to help out the Square Circle Podcast and the whole entire brand of Marie Shadows and all of the independent wrestling content creation that I create. This is all independent. I do not have a big machine behind me, but I do have the best fans in the world in the wrestling community, and I love you guys, and I love that you guys are here for the journey, and we are doing this together. We are almost in the YouTube partner program, and we are going to be starting live streams again. We're going to be still doing individual wrestling content creation and interviews and all of that. And I would love for you guys to be along for the ride. If you are a wrestler looking for feedback and one-on-one consultations, my prices are very simple. Everybody else on the Twitter timeline will tell you their price is $99, while mine is a $31 drop off, which could be just a one-time payment if you just want to test out my knowledge and what I know, what kind of feedback I can tailor for you depending on what you want me to look at in your match and or promos. So a one-off, payoff, drop-off tape study thing is $31. And then if you want me to be your cheerleader for a number of months for a commitment, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, is up to you. You can definitely get a membership priced at $16 a month, which is half off the one-time tryout for the one-on-one consultation. If you head over to my Fourth Wall website, which is very similar to Patreon, but I really appreciate Fourth Wall, it will walk you through who I am, what I've done in the business, what I did in WWE, and the seminars that I attended and all of the help that I do with MLW, including media press and also talent relations, helping out wrestlers, making sure that they're at their meet and greets, making sure that the fans are not going crazy whenever the meet and greets happen at MLW, the interviews that I have with wrestlers, and all the free content. All of that is up on my fourth wall, marieshadows-shop.fourthwall.com. Again, that link will be down in the description below. So if you want to check that out, if you're a wrestler, I am here for you. I'm here to be your cheerleader, to let you know what's good, what's not good, what can we improve. But I don't really say what's not good and leave it at that. I try to at least make sure that I can help you figure it out and help you understand how to improve it. Because it's not really me telling you what to do. It's me being like, oh, I found this. This is great. Work on this. Or, hey, maybe improve this and maybe try to get the fans in, because a big part of succeeding in the wrestling business is knowing your audience and knowing when you go from town to town to town that you're going to deal with different audiences. So you have to adapt to be the greatest magician, to make sure that the fans are cheering for you and they're going to come back for you and they're going to tell the promoter, hey, I need such and such wrestler here the next time that we are here at this venue. So I'm here to help you with that. But like I said, you can head over to all of the links down in the description below, or if you want to get in touch with me personally, by all means, Squared Circle Podcast at outlook.com. And I will answer any of your questions that you have emailed me. I am not difficult to get in contact with. It may take a little time because I'm a little busy creating these episodes and trying to figure out some other stuff to do, but I am not difficult to get a hold of. If you need me, Squared Circle Podcast at outlook.com, or just go over to the website and choose whether you want me to be your monthly cheerleader or just a one-time cheerleader for a one-on-one consultation tryout. It is up to you. No strings attached, no pressure. I am here to help you. Sooner or later, I will be reviving the tape study chatter streams, and I do invite wrestlers to come along and watch those live streams and how I break down professional wrestling matches in a very live setting with a very live chat. And I appreciate my live chat all the way through. Again, guys, thank you so much for supporting all of my content, sharing it out, and I hope to see you guys on the next episode of the Square Circle Podcast.